Today we're gonna do something a little different and rank up my top 10 favorite ride vehicles at Disneyland Park. This video was actually suggested by a subscriber, so huge thank you to Aeryn. This video would not exist without him. If you have any video suggestions of your own, please leave them down below in the comment section. And of course, while you're down there, please like this video, and if you have not already, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. The push for 10,000 subscribers is on. At the time of this recording, we just passed 8,000 subscribers. So I'm very, very thankful for that. Thank you all so much. Disneyland Park is absolutely stacked, so I really like this idea of ranking ride vehicles because there's a lot of different ride systems and a lot of these are very, very interesting or very cool for very different reasons. So let's dig into this list, starting things off with number 10, which is Roger Rabbit Cartoon Spin. Now personally, I'm not the biggest fan of this attraction. It's probably one of my least favorite in the park, but I know a lot of you love it. And honestly, my favorite part of Roger Rabbit Cartoon Spin is the ride vehicles. Like, spinning brings a completely different dynamic to the attraction. It is also pretty impressive that because the ride vehicles spin, they have to theme 360 degrees of the dark ride. So every scene is themed wall to wall, so that is very impressive. I've appreciated that more and more over the last few months, so that is a pretty cool aspect of this attraction, and they wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for these ride vehicles. It is pretty cute that to some extent you can control your ride experience because you can kind of angle it to see what you want to see. So that is pretty fun. Or you can just spin it as hard as you can just to have fun, like a teacup ride. So that is pretty cute. For a very similar reason, at number 9, we have the ride vehicles for Buzz Lightyear Astro Blaster. These are very cute. Just like Roger Rabbit, you can spin it. But unlike Roger Rabbit, it's not like a teacup plate that you spin, it's like a little lever. So it's much more consistent, it's much more controlled, and it can be a ton of fun. You can like angle your ride vehicle to make some of your shots better. Or if you're in the ride vehicle with someone else and you're like competing against them, what I like to do is just put my finger on it and spin as much as possible just to like throw them off, you know. We love playing these mind games. They're so much fun. It's very cute. Plus, of the shooting dark rides at the Disneyland Resort and even Disney parks in the country, it's really nice that you can unholster these blasters, unlike Space Ranger Spin at Magic Kingdom, at least for now. It looks like they're fixing that ride, which finally. I still need to make a video about Space Ranger Spin. So these ride vehicles are very cute. It's also cool that it's like an omnimover similar to the Haunted Mansion, so it's just constantly moving. I know some people have complained that like you have to be very precise with your shots. Like some of the targets are tiny. So it can be a little tedious. But you know, it's still a very fun ride in my opinion. And I do love spinning on the ride vehicle. The ride vehicles themselves are a little more generic compared to the Roger Rabbit ones, which have like a cartoon face on them. So there is that. We're gonna move on to number 8, which is Space Mountain. These rockets are very cute. They're very iconic. Like in my opinion, they're better than the Space Mountain rockets in Magic Kingdom. The biggest upside of this version of the attraction is the on-ride audio. I love the Space Mountain music, and it also provides Disney with the opportunity to create overlays like Hyperspace Mountain, or of course Ghost Galaxy, which is no longer being operated, which I'm fine with. Overall, the original Space Mountain is the best in my opinion. And these rockets are very cute. I like the design, I like the colors on them, but it is kind of generic. Like, I do take it over a lot of the other roller coaster trains at Disneyland just because I love the aesthetic, and on-ride audio is pretty important to this ride experience. Moving on to number 7, we're going back to the dark rides for Winnie the Pooh. This one is very cute. I love the design, like the honeycombs. It's almost like a hive, like the big backrest for the last row is really cute. Also, it like has that bouncing motion, which is also really cute. It has a fun vibe throughout the entire attraction, which I greatly appreciate. And overall, the design is just very cute. Like some of them have like a little bug at the end of it, so it's just so cute. I'm a big fan. And it totally matches with the ride experience as well. Like, it's just adorable. It's an awesome ride experience. Moving on to number 6, we're going to talk about another dark ride, which is Peter Pan's Flight. This one is kind of controversial. Like, whenever I talk about overrated rides at Disney parks, a lot of people mention Peter Pan's Flight, and I think that's completely fair. But like, the biggest upside of Peter Pan's Flight is the ride vehicles themselves. Like, first of all, they're very well designed. They look very, very cute. Like, I love like the pirate ship, the flying pirate ship aesthetic, obviously. Like, that ties in with Peter Pan, and it's really cute. Like, having an inverted dark ride, that's a very rare thing. So it's a cool novelty, but the wait times are absolutely insane. But honestly, the ride vehicle is what makes Peter Pan's Flight so popular. It's what makes it unique. It's what makes it cool, because you get to look down on all the sets and all the cool designs, because usually for most dark rides you're looking up at everything. So it's kind of nice that Peter Pan's Flight mixes it up, and the designs are really, really cute. As I said, like, there's different colored ride vehicles, so it's really cute. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Peter Pan's Flight, but I know there's a lot of people that are out there. Like, I actually made a video about Snow White's Enchanted Wish, and since I made that video, I have much more of an appreciation for that attraction. So maybe I just have to make a video about Peter Pan's Flight, and then I'll appreciate the ride experience more, because I like Enchanted Wish more now after making that video. So that's kind of funny. I don't know, maybe I just grow emotionally attached to my projects, or to these projects, whatever. Moving on to number 5 is Big Thunder Mountain. So this is the second roller coaster on this list, and it's very iconic. The train design for Big Thunder Mountain is like very, very, very recognizable. The lead car, or the zero car, whatever you want to call it, definitely makes the train. Like, if you just take that off, the rest of it is pretty plain. Like, it's just bench seating and like orangish, yellowish boxcars. But the train in the front is very cool. I love watching it charge over the layout. It's very, very pretty. The downside about it is if you sit in row 1, you don't really get to see the track coming at you. But you know, it's a relatively tame layout, so it's not the biggest deal in the world. My favorite seat on Big Thunder Mountain is always in the back, because of the couple airtime moments that it has. Like, it's a very, very fun layout. Like, I love that helix, that airtime pop with the head chopper right before the final lift hill. So it's just a pure fun ride. I'm a big fan of Big Thunder Mountain, and part of that is because the aesthetic is so cool, and that's definitely tied in with the ride vehicles. If you just list some of the most iconic roller coaster trains out there, Big Thunder Mountain and Space Mountain are probably on the list. Like, they're just so recognizable. Like, if you just showed someone a picture of a random wooden roller coaster train, blurred out the logo, it would probably be hard to identify, you know? But these two roller coasters have very distinct personalities without just having the ride name slapped on the train. So that's very, very, very impressive. Moving on to number 4 on the list. I might be a little biased because this is my favorite attraction, but I put the Doom Buggies in the Haunted Mansion. Very similar to the ride vehicles for Big Thunder Mountain and for Space Mountain, I feel like this one is just so iconic. Like, the Haunted Mansion Doom Buggies are very recognizable. Like, that's obviously, like, so much so that they were like low-key in the film, in the recent movie that Disney put out of the Haunted Mansion, so that's kind of cute. The ride system, when it was developed, was really innovative because it just keeps moving, it keeps pumping through, and the looping audio through all the scenes is very, 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 very smart. Grim Grinning Ghosts in the Graveyard is probably one of the most iconic songs in any theme park ever, so it's really, really good. Of course, the Doom Buggies themselves have the ghost host speaking to you in them, so he helps tell the story of the Haunted Mansion, which is really, really cool. And of course, the same is true for Haunted Mansion Holiday. When holiday time rolls around, they're called Black Christmas Sleighs, which is pretty cute. For the classic Haunted Mansion, I believe the ghost host just calls it a carriage, but they're Doom Buggies, so I love these Doom Buggies. They're just an integral part of one of my favorite attractions, so I feel like I have to include it on this list. If you're not as big of a fan of the Haunted Mansion, I understand for having it lower, but I would make the argument because it was so innovative. Like, a lot of these rides used an Omnimover ride system. Like, there's literal clones like Ariel's Undersea Adventure and the Nemo ride at Epcot, and then you have very similar rides like Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters, which we talked about earlier. So I think it 100% deserves a spot in the top 10. Moving on to number 3 is Indiana Jones Adventure. This ride vehicle is very, very, very impressive. In terms of design, it's kind of generic adventure-y Jeep vibe, you know? In terms of the ride experience, the ride vehicle, like, kind of makes the ride, and it's also why this ride is so unreliable. But you know, it's just so cool bouncing around. Like, it'll toss you around at some points. It's just so much fun. It's an incredible attraction. The set design through the whole thing is absolutely breathtaking. Like, it's just such a cool ride. And the ride vehicle is definitely an element of that. Like, I couldn't imagine going through this ride without being on one of those Jeeps. So it's very, very cool. It was very, very innovative, and it's just such a good ride. Like, it's easily one of the best in the park, in the resort, maybe even the world, depending upon who you ask. And I feel like a lot of that credit goes to the ride system and the ride vehicle. But moving on to number 2, we're gonna talk about Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I think this ride is so cute. It's so fun. It's absolutely adorable. I love that you board it as like a traditional train, so tourists who don't know anything about the ride will just assume that it's like a normal train that just dispatches into the ride, kind of like Big Thunder Mountain. Like it has that same vibe, obviously, because it's a train. And then having Goofy in the conductor's cabin is really cute. He sets the story in motion, and then he helps wrap up the story at the end of the ride, so it brings it full circle after the factory sequence when you turn around and Goofy's back, and it's just like he just assumes that you were there the whole time, which is so funny. That's so cute. This is such an amazing attraction, and I'm so grateful that we got a clone of it at Disneyland, because I'm a big fan of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. It's one of my favorites. It's so fun. During the heart of the ride experience, you're going to be separated from Goofy, and the train cars themselves have really cute designs. Like, a lot of people's favorite part is when you go into the dance studio and then the train cars start dancing, which is very cute. That's very fun. So it's just an incredible attraction, and a lot of that is because of the ride system and the ride vehicles. Very similar to Indiana Jones. And this may not be a surprise to you, but my favorite ride vehicle at Disneyland is the ride vehicles for Rise of the Resistance. These are very cool. They have the same pros as the Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway ride vehicles because they are trackless. There is no lead car, there is no Goofy cabin or any sort of equivalent, but I do love that the ride vehicles that replace you in the loading area are used as props to help the story in motion of a prison break, so that's really cool. And all of them have a little droid in front, which is so cute. The droid's emotions like shine throughout the ride experience. It's very well done. It's great storytelling. Like recently, I'm very fortunate because I live so close to Disneyland. I get to ride this ride a lot more than most people. And on one of my recent rides, I just looked at the droid for the entire ride experience, and I was like, wow, it's an added layer that a lot of people just completely overlook. Like, it's very cute. It's adorable. Like, I love it. Like, it's easy to like pay attention to him when he like makes a noise, and then you just glance back at the rest of the ride because the ride is so incredible. But just having like part of the world like attached to your ride vehicle is so cool. I'm a big fan. I'm also a fan of how the droids that have been reprogrammed by the Resistance have the orange eyes, but the ones that are still First Order droids have the red eyes. I think that's a cute detail. I also love when you pull into the bridge scene, when you're looking up at Kylo Ren and General Hux, the lights turn off. Because if they stayed on, you would be able to see them in the reflection of the glass. So that's a really cute detail. And then they turn on right away as the droid turns around to run away from Kylo Ren. So it's just so cool. Rise of the Resistance is an absolutely incredible attraction, and the ride vehicles are just an element of this attraction's greatness. It's so good that it's hard to put into words. You just have to go out and experience this ride. Disney set a very high bar for themselves, and I'm excited to see them push that bar going forward. So that is my top 10 favorite ride vehicles at Disneyland Park. Do you agree with this list? Do you disagree? Please let me know down in the comments below. Please like this video. Please leave a comment. I would love to have more video suggestions come in because this one was a lot of fun. Once again, thank you to Aeryn. Thank you so much, everybody, and I will catch you later.